Welcome, future English teachers, to the fifth part of our TKT grammar series. Today, we're going to move beyond just memorizing rules. We're actually going to look under the hood at the very mechanics of English grammar. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so to teach your students really effectively, you need the right tools. I want you to imagine that your grammar toolkit has these two powerful, interconnected engines. On one side, we've got structural transformation. That's what handles reported speech. And on the other, we have semantic nuance, which controls all those modals and auxiliaries. So let's go ahead and fire up that first engine.
So this first engine, it's all about reporting what other people have said. You know, this is a classic point of confusion for students. But when you teach the mechanics behind it, instead of just a list of rules, you can make it totally crystal clear for them.
So the crucial difference you have to teach is between quoting someone directly, word for word, and reporting the meaning of what they said. Direct speech is easy, right? I work here. But to report that indirectly, he said he worked there, well, that requires a few key structural adjustments. Now this right here, this is the master key. Instead of overwhelming your students with a bunch of random tense changes, teach them the logic of the backshift. Explain it just like this. When we report something from the past, the verb tense takes one logical step further into the past. So, present becomes past, and past steps back to past perfect. It's a systematic journey, not some random jump. But what happens when that backshift rule doesn't apply? Well, think of it like an express lane. For universal truths, like the earth revolves around the sun, the tense stays right where it is. And the same thing happens when we report using present verbs like she says or future ones like they will say. This helps your students understand the logic behind the exceptions, not just memorize them.
And it's so crucial to teach that it's not just the verb that changes. To report speech correctly, students have to shift the entire perspective. Pronouns change to reflect the new speaker. Time words shift back, so now becomes then. And of course, place words follow suit. Here becomes there. The whole context moves.
Okay, let's fire up our second engine. This is where we add all the color and the nuance to the language. The layers of meaning, like possibility, obligation, and ability that our students really need for true fluency.
First things first, as teachers, we've got to establish the core architecture here. We have two families. On the left, pure modals like can or must. Their golden rule is they never change form, ever. Then on the right, we have the more flexible semi-modals like have to or ought to, which do conjugate and often need that little word to before the main verb. A super common student error is mixing these two rules up. Listen, this is a really critical pedagogical shift for you as an educator. Please stop giving your students alphabetical lists of modals to memorize. It's just not effective. The most powerful way to teach them is by grouping them based on what they actually do.
For example, you can teach obligation and advice on a spectrum. This visual helps students feel the difference. You should take a break is just some mild advice. But you must wear a helmet, well, that's an extreme, non-negotiable obligation. This functional grouping makes the meaning so much more intuitive. And this functional approach works perfectly for probability too. This funnel is a fantastic tool for the classroom. It visually guides students from that wide-open possibility of may or might all the way down to the strong, almost certain deduction of must. It makes the difference in certainty between he might come and he must be here totally tangible. And finally, grouping models for actions and permission like this clarifies their real-world use. It helps students get that crucial social difference between asking informally, "Can I use your pen?" versus formally, "May I leave now?" See, this is teaching grammar for communication, not just for passing tests.
And now for the masterclass moment. The real magic happens when we see that these aren't two separate systems at all. Let's see how that modal engine feeds directly into our reported speech engine.
It's brilliant! So when we report speech, our pure modals, they follow the exact same backshift logic we already established. They're just processed by the backshift engine. Will becomes would, can becomes could, may becomes might. It's all one unified system. And when you teach it this way, it just clicks for your students.
So what does all this mean for your classroom? How do you actually put it all into practice? Well, here's your blueprint for truly effective grammar instruction.
So here are your three guiding principles. Number 1, teach the backshift as a logical step, not just a list of rules. 2, always categorize modals by their function. And 3, make it crystal clear that form follows function. If you teach the system and not just the rules, you will empower your students with a true understanding of the language's architecture.
The choice you make is going to define the kind of fluency and confidence your students ultimately achieve.
Are you going to give them a fish, or are you going to teach them how to fish? Thank you for joining this explainer.